It's all a learning curve, isn't it? It's farming. It's not always perfect. Should have drilled it earlier, James. The agronomist was right. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. It is glorious this morning. It is fresh, but it is wonderful. And look what I'm doing. We're livestock farmer mode. We've got a loader on, but we're also got the fert spreader on because I'm gonna go and put a little bit of nitrogen on my rye. And we're gonna have a little bit of a rye update. That stuff starts growing at quite a low temperature, so we wanna get a bit of nitrogen on there. Haven't yet bought my nitrogen for this year, but I am about to sell my soul to the devil. I've had a word this morning about some nitrogen and I think I'm gonna buy. It's expensive, but I do still have a couple of bags from last year in the shed, so I'm gonna put them on the rye this morning just so it's got a bit to get moving, and then we can worry about how much money I'm gonna spend on fertilizer after that. So let's get loaded up, put a bit of fert in, and we'll go and see what this rye looks like, shall we? Right, so we're just heading off up to one of the two fields of Forage Rye. The one we're going to at the minute is probably the worst one. The other one that we'll do second is really good. I've also bought this with me so we can get the drone up and you can see some of what it looks like from above, because this one's a little bit patchy. There's like bits that are really good, some bits that are not good, and some bits that are in between. I don't know how it'll look from above. It might look worse, but you know, we'll wait and see. Overall, this one I'd say is a fairly average kind of looking crop. This what I'm using today is ammonium nitrate, but what I'm buying for this year is urea, which is completely different kind of stuff. Obviously, urea is 46% nitrogen, but it's not an ammonium nitrate, so it's not quite as efficient. But the ammonium nitrate is a horrific price, just unobtainable. So we're going for the urea, and I think it should be pretty all right, because urea is good if it's like wet, a little bit cooler. It doesn't want to be too hot and dry, but majority of the stuff we're using it on is kind of grass or winter barley, things like that, where we're not going to be using it late on in the season, so it should be okay. We're using this today because the ammonium nitrate takes up into the plant that little bit quicker, so I'm hoping that because this forage rye starts growing at about 6 degrees, that once we start getting a bit of warmer weather, which we had last week and we're supposed to be having at the end of this week, it will start and pick up and grow, and it will feed it really quickly, whereas that urea just takes that little bit longer to get going. So I'm hoping we can get feeding the plant now and then come back through with the top up of urea once we've got it. I'm only putting on 75 kilograms to the hectare fresh weight, so about 25 kilos of nitrogen to the hectare. Not a lot, to be honest, just a little sprinkle just to get the ball rolling. Right, so let's jump out and have a look at this. You can see here where I'm stood. This is quite good, this here. This is where the muck heap was, and rye's a real good scavenger of nitrogen, so it's just gonna suck that muck up, and that's why it's growing really well. And you can also see, I don't know if you can tell on here, there's a little bit of a dark patch, probably just on the top of the hill. That's where the muck heap was a year or two ago, and it's picking up that nitrogen as well. But overall, I don't think it looks too bad one way or another. I'd say this is pretty average for the field. It kind of looks a little bit worse over there, but the stubble's a bit higher, so the stubble kind of shows through the rows a little bit. We did apply some muck, because you can see it here, there's still some dry muck on the surface, so that's going to help out as well. Our other option than throwing fertiliser on would be to go through some sort of foliar feed. And if it was all like that bit where the muck heap was, it's really long, then that could be kind of viable. But I think with this, where there's so much soil still open, obviously foliar feed needs to go through the leaf. So if we're probably doing the best thing right now, yeah, if it was like this, it'd probably be all right because there's a lot of leaf cover. But I think this is the best way forward. So that's this one done. It's a little bit sticky getting because it's been frosty this morning and it's just starting to lift. I'm hoping from that drone footage you can kind of see what I'm saying is that there's patches that are really good and patches that aren't so good. It did show as really overexposed though, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we can use it. But yeah, this one is a little bit hit and miss. The other one we'll go to, you'll see, is awesome. The agronomist told me I should have drilled this earlier, and then the seed company told me that I should have drilled it about when I drilled it, which is kind of why I did what I did. And to be honest, I should have listened to the agronomist and got it in a couple of 3 weeks earlier, something like that. I kind of feel like Forage Rye is one of those crops you can put it in real early, and if it got ahead of you, just get some sheep in and graze it or something, because I just feel like you'd be better off getting it in early, getting a good crop, and then knocking it back like that than you would be trying to feed it to get it to grow. But it's all a learning curve, isn't it? We've never done this before. Anyway, we'll head down to that other field and see what he thinks of that. Now this is a serious crop of Forage Rye. It is like a blanket. It's just the same all the way across. It looks awesome. I will say, however, this is a better field. It's far freer draining, it's lighter soil. So, I mean, you are expecting it to be better. This is what I wished it would all look like. It doesn't. That happens. You know, it's farming. It's not always perfect. Oh, and if you are wondering what the hell has happened to my radio, well, took it out this morning and hopefully gone to Colin Catley's to get a new one, because it's been 6 years without a radio working at all. I'm okay with it. I don't mind. I got you guys to talk to. Dad doesn't like it, so Dad wants a radio. He says he misses it, so yeah, maybe we're gonna get a new radio in here. Now originally, when I said we were going to put this in with Forage Rye, my plan was that this field, which is 14 acres, I was going to graze and potentially turn out sort of mid-calving when we get end of March time, turn out onto this with some calves up foot and graze it. But I just think this is way too good. I think it's too advanced for them, and I'm pretty sure that they would waste a lot of it. So now my plan is that we'll mow this one. The first one we went to, we will mow all of that I fertilised, and then there's another bit, which I'll show you, that isn't quite as good, that I think we could graze, because I don't think it'll get ahead of the cows, and I don't think it's worth chucking cows in here if they're just going to maul most of it down. Now the end goal was always to get maize in after the Forage Rye. However, kind of worked that out, and that's a bit too much maize. So I'm now thinking that this field, I'm going to put some sort of other forage crop in, maybe something like a kale that we can graze late summer as the grass kind of dies off before you get that autumn flush. We can graze this and then get it back to wheat, and then we'll have maize up on that, what we did earlier. But a lot can change in farming, as you know, so I might be changing my mind by then. So I'm back in the yard and I've officially just done it. I have sold my soul and bought some fertiliser for this year. It's actually come back in price a bit, so it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. It's come back about £30 a tonne, so I'll take that. That's not too bad. Now I've got to wash that out. I always wash it. It's kind of like a thing. I've spread the fertiliser for years. I used to do it after school when I was back in school, and Dad always drilled it into me. Wash the fert spinner after every day because all that nitrogen just rots it like you wouldn't believe. So I wash it after every use. Even if I was going to use it tomorrow, still wash it tonight. But I'm not using it tomorrow. I'm actually putting it back in the shed because I haven't got any more fertilizer to spread. But I'll wash it off and then go and put it away. So as promised, I've showed you the good, and now I'm going to show you the bad. So we're back down to where we were spreading first, and look at this. These long runs here, there's not a lot on it. It is in row, you can see it. I don't know if it shows up on the video or not, but it is there. And as we get further towards those trees, you can see it better. And I think this patch is probably a bit that I'll chuck some cows on and graze, because it probably isn't going to be worth mowing, but it'll be a good experiment to see how the cows do on it. Probably tell here a bit better. I'll stick the drone up and hopefully you'll be able to see it. It's not too bad, but it's not great, it's not ideal. Weirdly, the patch that's bad is all after a Westerwold grass. And I think what's really happened is, put it in, it's not really rained, sucked all the moisture out, because grass sucks so much moisture out, and it's just not really got going. And then when it did finally get going, we got slugs on it. We slug pelleted this twice, but those new pellets now that don't have the metaldehyde in, they're not that great, are they? So yeah, this is what the result is. Should have drilled it earlier, James. The agronomist was right. And then we have this triangle block. And as you can see, well, there's nothing really on it at all. It's a really awkward bit of field. It's about 3 acres, this bit. But no matter what you've got it in with, if you've got it in with a crop, you're forever turning round, you're forever having to go backwards and forwards. It just drives you up the wall. What I'm thinking of doing is I'm actually going to grass it down, bring it into the grazing block, because we can access it from the gateway over there to the side of the drive. We can get through that hedge there, there's a gateway onto the herbal lay. Just makes more sense. It'll save having to go in and out of here all the time. You struggled to get that sprayer through the gap there. That bit of hedge there was ripped out before we bought the farm. Don't really know why. I suppose kit was smaller back then, but it just seems pointless. It would have been more sense to have ripped that one out, but you know, they did what they did. So yeah, I'm going to grass this down this spring. I've got loads of old bits of seed in the shed, so I'm just going to throw them all in and see what happens. This will be the most mixed herbal kind of whatever lay you've ever seen in your life. There'll be everything in here, but it might be good, might be bad. We'll wait and see. Anyway, I'm going to head back. I've waffled on enough about my rye. We'll revisit this when we get the fertilizer and we go and spread the rest of it on. See what it's doing then. Hopefully we'll be a little bit further into the spring and everything will be growing a bit more. Whatever you get up to this weekend, have a cracker, guys. It's going to be awesome weather. See you in a bit. Ta-da!